Appreciate you making time for us. I don't even know where to start because this will take care of itself, but we still get pretty outrageous on day one. What intrigues you the most?
Well, I think two things. One, and they're kind of tied together, is the selection committee rewarding Notre Dame for its 6-game winning streak in spite of the head-to-head loss to Miami, which fell all the way down to number 18. I thought that was pretty significant and an indictment on the ACC as a whole, which, Paul, you got to go down to number 14 to find the first ACC team, and that's Virginia. So to me, that was one of the most glaring takeaways, is that the ACC right now is looking like a one-bid league because it's hard to imagine the ACC runner-up getting a top 12 spot by the committee considering where they're starting this race.
And it was interesting, I don't know, 3 or 4 weeks ago, Heather, the ACC looked like maybe it was in a tremendous position, but that's all starting to take care of itself. So let's look at the two biggest leagues, the Big Ten and the SEC. The SEC is loaded with possibilities, but also games ahead. The Big Ten, without Penn State around, is a little bit lighter. What do you see in both of those leagues?
Well, can I just say I'm so excited for this month, Paul, because there's so many really great games, and I think there could be some sneaky good ones this weekend as well. But when you look at the SEC dominating the upper echelon of these rankings to start, you can also have a 5th SEC team coming into the conversation when you look at how close Texas and Oklahoma are and the opportunities that are still in front of them. I don't know that any team in the country has a better chance this month to impress the selection committee than Texas, with games against Georgia and the Aggies. That's 2 potential top 5 wins to punctuate your resume. That's significant. And you know someone above them is going to lose because this weekend, BYU and Texas Tech are playing each other. But I'm going to push back a little bit on your comment about the Big Ten being a little bit light because we don't know that necessarily yet, because USC and Michigan also still have opportunities to impress the selection committee. If USC wins at Oregon, that's going to impress the committee. They could flip spots, essentially. And if Michigan runs the table and beats Ohio State, no one in the country would have a better win.
Listen, Heather, you're certainly welcome to push back. I'm just being realistic about this. In terms of Texas, you saw the headline a minute ago about Sark, and a lot of people agree with them at a 9-3. As you look ahead, they have that Georgia game, the A&M. I mean, they're both, one's at home, one's on the road. If they win one of those two, how do you think the committee would look at them, considering the Ohio State game early on?
Well, I think they could be looking at them in a similar way they looked at 3-loss Alabama last year. They were the committee's highest ranked 3-loss team, but it wasn't good enough. Why? Because you have to make room for 5 conference champions. And so while I think it's certainly possible a 3-loss Texas or 3-loss SEC team can be in the mix, you have to remember that if you're in those 11 and 12 spots, given what we're looking at right now, with both Virginia and Memphis outside the top 12, you have to make room for them. So the question would be, is a 3-loss Texas in the committee's top 10 in a safe spot? I find that a little bit tricky to believe.
Well, listen, Heather, I'll save the outrage for a couple weeks from now, but I got pretty outrageous listening to you explain that. We talked about the big guys, and this week the Big 12 is on center stage. They're an interesting league because they've had a lot of possibilities last year and this year. What are you seeing in that league?
Well, I'm seeing the possibility of 2 teams getting in, and a lot of it depends on how the BYU-Texas Tech dynamic plays out. But if Texas Tech loses this game on Saturday, they'll have a second conference loss, which would make it extremely difficult for them to get into the Big 12 championship game. But a team that we're not even talking about, Paul, is Cincinnati. They're not ranked in the top 25, and they can still play for the Big 12 championship. So there are still things that can happen, but the ideal scenario for the Big 12 would probably be to have BYU make it to the conference championship game undefeated and lose. Then you're guaranteed a one-loss runner-up and your Big 12 champion in the college football playoff.
So I want to go back to something you said a minute ago, because I have a feeling it will be a big topic here. And I understand the 9-3, and we all followed what happened last year. But then in the offseason, we heard this committee talk so much about all the things that they think would be more important this year. We heard all the commissioners. So do we, from all that conversation and campaigning, is there anything to read into last night that any of that or all of that resonated?
Well, there was one particular example of how the new metric impacted their decision, and that was with number 9, Oregon. Selection Committee Chair Mack Rhoades said specifically that record strength, the new metric, Oregon had the lowest record strength of any teams in the top 10. So I thought that was a little bit of insight into how that played into their decision. But at the end of the day, it's not just one thing. It's not just that Texas A&M is number 1 in the country in ESPN's strength of record metric, because that obviously wasn't enough to get them to the number 1 spot, in the latest ranking. So people just have to remember that it's a combination of things. And when you talk about a 3-loss Texas, you do have to talk about the loss to Florida.
You want this, you got that. No way, watch them walk right past you. Run fast while you have the chance. Don't speak, let them